Am I the a-hole for telling my mother-in-law I don't give a hoot what she or everyone thinks when she criticized how I spent Mother's Day? My relationship with mother-in-law has been complicated to say the least. I'm my husband's second wife. I married him when his kids were 7 and 5. His first wife died when they were 1 and 3, and her death was very hard on my husband at his oldest. I actually met him while he was still in grief counseling, and so were the kids. We built up a friendship, and later after we had dated a bit casually, we realized we had feelings for each other. It was a very rough transition. Not going to lie, the kids' maternal side were not pleased that he found someone while the kids were young, and I do believe they eventually influenced the relationship I now have with my stepchildren, who are 19 and 21 respectively. To them, I am their dad's wife. This is how they introduced me. This is how they have introduced me the whole way along. Although they didn't really introduce me the way at all as younger kids, it was more as they got older. There has always been a strain there. It's tough. It has made my relationship with my in-laws, my husband's parents and siblings, at times uncomfortable. They see it as I have been around since before they can remember, and with them not remembering their mom, I'm mom, or at least a mom type. The kids, despite my best efforts, have never embraced or truly accepted me into their lives. I think over the years they have accepted me into their dads, but it has spilled into how they see the children my husband and I have together. About 3 years ago, my stepchildren dug in their heels and refused to celebrate Mother's Day in any way with us. They always saw their maternal family, were always taken to their mom's grave, but even a dinner with me and the family was a very firm no. And after each one moved out, they just stopped talking on Mother's Day with us. This year, I took my kids to the beach for the day and had some good food and relaxed. My mother-in-law told me it was wrong to not even give my stepkids a chance to show up or call, that it looked bad. She thought I loved them and all this nonsense. She told me to think about how it must look to everybody else that I'm going off with just my bio kids and celebrating with them on Mother's Day. I told her it was my choice and I moved on. Then she brought it up again. Same response. The third time she brought it up, after my husband had even told her to leave it alone, I told her I did not give a flying cow what she or anybody else thought, and I am not going to be a glutton for punishment the rest of my life. She and the rest of my husband's family are outraged I said that to her, and told me it was uncalled for. My husband told me I could have said much worse. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. If your stepkids refuse to spend Mother's Day with you, what are you supposed to do? Forget you have your own kids and skip it? Nah, that's messed up. Also, this is not your fight. Your husband needs to handle everything with his family and his late wife's family from now on if they are going to be nasty to you. It's not your fault his first wife died, and they act as though he was supposed to be single the rest of his life after his first wife died. He mostly always did handle things with his late wife's family. I did try to be nice and just try to see that I wasn't here trying to raise their daughter/sister/granddaughter/aunt. But yeah, I knew my place with them a long time ago. For the maternal side of the family, they expected him to wait until the kids wouldn't have another mom-like person or even another mom. At least that's how it has always come across. It wasn't the act of moving on, it was the when. So, it seems like they expected him to not move on with his life until his youngest was 18, which would have been 17 years. That is absolutely ridiculous and wholly unfair to expect of anyone. Around that length of time. Maybe if the kids had been teens and less likely to see me as anything but dad's wife. But they definitely appeared to want him to wait until it was next to impossible for a close parental bond to form between me and the kids, or whoever and the kids. Wow. It sucks that he didn't put them in their place early on. He controlled access to the kids. He could have solved this whole thing. He did. Then they sued and won grandparents' visitation, which came with a lot of things we were unable to control. And they won even though he hadn't officially severed contact with them. Not the a-hole. The stepkids haven't expressed interest in celebrating Mother's Day with you before. Why would they now? Considering it sounds like you raised them from pretty young, I find that attitude pretty disrespectful of them assuming you weren't a bad stepmother. That's between you and them. Your mother-in-law is an a-hole though. Not only has she and her family treated you poorly for years, she intruded where she had no right and kept pressing after both you and your husband told her to stop. It was past time to put your foot down, in my opinion. I have just grown to accept that they wanted what their maternal family told them about. The mom who gave birth to them and raised them until her unfortunate passing. And over the years, they believed it would be disrespectful or maybe even dishonoring her to accept me as anything other than the woman Dad is married to. At some point, you don't need to accept it even if you don't like it. Yeah, if she had said it once and left it there, it would be much easier. But she just had to keep pushing. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for accepting a Mother's Day gift from my stepkids? Plus little update. My husband and his ex divorced after husband's ex came out as a trans man. They have 2 kids together who were 7 and 9 at the time. Husband and I married when they were 10 and 12. We now have 2 children together as well who were 3 and 4. Stepkids are now 15 and 18. They have had a rough haul with husband's ex and came to live with us soon after we got married. Ex has been clear the kids are not to call him mom, so they now call him by his first name. He has also been in a series of relationships that have been hard for the kids. I have never asked or expected that they call me mom or see me as a maternal figure. However, this past Mother's Day, they asked if they could join us at dinner and had bought me a gift, a very lovely locket that says mother on it. Well, ex just learned about this and called me very angry. He says I am trying to displace him in his children's lives and that I should return the locket. I find the whole thing confusing as he has made it clear on multiple occasions he doesn't want to be their mother. I really don't want to do that as I think it would hurt the kids. So am I the a-hole for accepting the mother locket from my stepkids? Not the a-hole. That is such a lovely thing for them to do. You're not replacing him as a parent, but you are providing the mom role they clearly miss having with him. I have tried to help where I can. Truly. Like when stepdaughter needed her first bra. I knew that would be hard for ex, and I also knew husband would have zero clue. So I took her shopping. Stuff like that. Girls need a female figure in their life to help with stuff like periods and bras. It's great that she feels comfortable with you. Not the a-hole. But I don't think it's got anything to do with their transparent. They're old enough and you've been part of their lives long enough that they can decide who they view as a mother figure. I'd say the same if their birther was still identifying as female. Exactly. Not the a-hole. They bought that for you because you were a mother figure to them. The ex seems to be jealous or insecure about it, but you shouldn't return it because of him. The kids will think that you don't want to be their mother. Not the a-hole. Sounds like the ex has lots of personal issues to deal with that they don't need to project onto you. You have been there for the kids. They've lived with you and you aren't erasing their bio mom. Update. First, thank you so much for all your kind words and encouragement. It really does mean a lot because I'm trying out here. So I called X because that's who I am. I started the conversation by letting X know that stepkids are amazing and smart and funny and headed to a lot of success. And X can take a lot of credit for that. X was absolutely their primary caregiver from birth until late elementary school. Those are important years and those are hard years. I am parenting 2 young children now and it is tough. And I am doing it without having to struggle with/against my own identity at the same time. I think X did an amazing thing for nearly a decade. And whatever happened or happens after that doesn't erase X's influence and hard work. I also acknowledged to X that, as the parent of young children, I totally know that if in 10 years my kids are estranged from me, even if I have done something that justifies it, I would feel hurt and angry. It is easy to feel someone owes you if you change their diaper and wipes their noses consistently for years. And I got a laugh here, so that's good. I also told X I would be keeping the locket. Not to hurt X or displace X, but because I love the kids that we, for better or for worse, share now. I also told X I want X to be more open with husband and I about what we can do to support X's relationship with these young adults. But that support can't be at the expense of the kids' happiness, safety, or health. X wasn't necessarily happy with this answer, but seemed to understand better too. He said that he will always feel like I took over his life, but he thinks we can be civil. That is his right to think, and I hope that we can be more civil going forward. Oh, and since Mother's Day, stepdaughter has been calling me Mama D. I haven't stopped her, and if I am honest, it makes me rather happy. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for going to a Mother's Day lunch when I'm child-free? I, 23 female, was invited to a Mother's Day lunch by my childhood best friend, Haley, 24 female. Haley is hosting and paying for the lunch. Her kid is Didi, 3 female. I was confused since I have been openly child-free since I was 15. I felt weird intruding on a celebration that had nothing to do with me. I thought it was to babysit, but she said that wasn't the reason. For context, her devout family cut her off due to her pregnancy. So I was the only person there to help her with doctor appointments, errands, cleaning, etc. When Didi was born, I helped with anything she needed until she got her bearings. She doesn't need much help now, but I am still very involved. Haley texted, When I think of having and raising Didi, you always come to mind. You were always there. And if it weren't for you, I might have really messed up. I want you to be there. Mother's Day has always brought up very comfortable or unwanted comments towards me, so I stay out of the way. To have Haley include me in such a personal way meant a lot. I love Didi and was so honored. Skip to the lunch date last Saturday. Sitting at the table was Haley, 2 co-workers of hers, Didi's nanny of 2 years, and me. A little into lunch, Haley said that her gym buddy was asking to join since her sitter canceled, so her plans fell through. We all said no problem. Gina shows up with her kid in tow and lunch starts up again. While we're talking, coworker 1 shows a gift she got from one of her kids, which sparks a conversation about fulfilling things their kids do. I commented at their stories, but didn't have my own, so I let them talk. Everyone at the table was aware I didn't have kids / was child-free, except for Gina. I didn't figure it would be noticeable if I was contributing to the conversation. I just loved being part of it and seeing the point of view of mothers. Gina must have noticed I hadn't added anything, so she asked me about my kids, and said she noticed I was left out. I told her I don't have any kids to talk about, but she got wide-eyed and apologized for bringing up painful stuff. I quickly corrected her and said it wasn't anything painful. I was just child-free. She got quiet, and after a minute, asked Haley to head to the bathroom with her. They came back looking pissed, and when I texted Haley asking what's wrong, she said nothing. Eventually, Gina, angrily, asked why I was even here if I wasn't a mom. I explained Haley invited me, but Gina just shook her head and said it didn't matter. It was insulting that I was even here when I didn't respect and avoided motherhood. It got heated after Gina said a few more hurtful things to Haley and I, and she was told to leave. Once lunch was over, Haley started crying in the car because she'd been looking forward to this lunch for 2 weeks. I feel terrible. I knew how much this meant to her, and I didn't think my child-free stance would come off as hating motherhood. I really don't. I just don't want to be a mother myself. Should I just not accept this invite in the first place? Now for the top comments. Gina sounds absolutely awful. You did nothing wrong, not even in the slightest. Gina's an awful person not to be seen ever again. You should plan something special for Haley, since her very generous and lovely Mother's Day plans were ruined by no fault of yours or hers. She didn't deserve that. And you don't deserve to be attacked for your life choices, because there's nothing wrong with being child-free. Not day whole. Right? Imagine coming in, eating free food, then attacking someone on the basis of what they do with their own uterus. Even my cats are more polite than that while being fed. Not day whole. You were invited by Haley and she knew that you were child-free. Maybe if you had misrepresented your family or something you would be at fault. But Haley invited you specifically because she felt that you were very close and had taken on an important role in her life that, to me at least, seems like almost a godmother to her child. Also, there's absolutely nothing wrong with not wanting kids. It's a personal choice that is no one else's business, and you never have to explain it to anyone. You seem like an amazing person and friend, and Haley is very lucky to have you. Thank you so much. Reddit is amazing. Not Dayhall. That lady is weird and had no right to dictate who your friend invited. She was a guest and acted ridiculous. I'm glad your friend stood up for you. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my daughter that she doesn't have to forgive my wife? My 35 female daughter Amelia, female 12, has ulcerative colitis, and her body has a talent for building antibodies against medicines. She's had UC for 2 years now and hasn't been able to stay on medicine for longer than 6 months. She built antibodies against the medicine she was on and is in a bad flare, so we've been in the hospital since Monday. Monday to Wednesday, my wife Jessica, 36 female, and I were both at the hospital and only left for food/clothes and never left her alone at the hospital. Being at the hospital alone terrifies her. Then on Thursday, Jessica didn't come after work because she was tired. We got into an argument about it, but she swore she'd be here yesterday. Emilia was scheduled to get an NJ tube and PICC line yesterday and was scared and asked for both of us to be here. When she was FaceTiming Jessica, she promised Emilia that she'd be here in time. Then yesterday, when it was time to get the PICC line, Jessica still wasn't at the hospital. I checked Life 360 and saw that she was still at home. Emilia cried the entire time because her mom wasn't there. Then a few hours later, it was time for the NG tube. Jessica was still at home. Emilia sobbed and begged us to wait because she wanted her mom. She cried and fought so much that they had to wait until this morning to do it. I called Jessica last night after Emilia was in bed, argued again, and I told her to be here this morning. This morning they sedated Emilia and started to get everything ready for the NG tube, and Jessica was still at home. They ended up having to restrain Emilia because she was fighting so much. Jessica finally showed up 4 hours after the NG tube when Emilia was asleep. When Emilia woke up and saw Jessica there, she immediately told her to get out. Jessica left and came back a few hours later with bags of gifts for Emilia. She was again told to leave. Jessica asked if there was anything she could do to make her feel better, and Emilia said she'd feel better if she left her alone. I talked to Emilia and told her that it's understandable that she's mad at Jessica, and that she doesn't have to forgive her right away. She needs time to work through her feelings, and that's completely fine. Jessica texted her and asked what she could do to get her to forgive her, and Emilia texted her back and said, "Mommy said I don't have to forgive you." Now Jessica's mad that I'm not trying to convince Emilia to forgive her. Not today, Hull. You did a great job not invalidating your daughter's feelings. What's up with your wife, though? She forgot, and thinks that she can buy her daughter's forgiveness rather than acknowledge she messed up, and her daughter's hurt feelings are valid. I think she's having a really hard time coping with seeing her daughter so sick. Going through painful procedures, has gone into avoidance mode and couldn't bring herself to walk out the door to go to the hospital. It happens. Everyone gets so focused on the sick child that they fail to look after each other or give themselves self-care, and sometimes people just break. Opie needs to sit down with her wife and get her to talk about how she's actually feeling, just in case this is what is happening. If it is, then Opie can mediate to explain to their daughter why mom didn't show up. If it isn't what happened, then it's a whole other conversation. Not an a-hole. And Jessica might not necessarily be an a-hole either. Everyone needs to remember that this is an ongoing condition, not a one-week fiasco that most parents might deal with when it comes to their children. Parents of chronic and serious medical conditions can suffer many physical and mental issues themselves as a result of caring for their child. This is not a normal situation, and people need to be careful passing judgment. Parents deal with exhaustion, stress, emotional torture, and are prone to psychiatric conditions that might not normally have reared their heads, as well as breakdowns. Emilia is going through hell and fighting for her life, but Emilia only has herself to focus on. The world doesn't stop because two people have a sick child. So all the outside pressures that everyone has to carry without the stress of a constant medical emergency is still on their shoulders. Opie's a very strong person and is handling this situation amazingly, but not everyone can be that strong. I know this isn't the place for suggestions, but if I was in this situation, I too would be furious, but I would demand my spouse to see a medical doctor, as well as a professional that can help with any psychological issues that are starting to burst through the seams. Info. What was Jessica doing at home? Why did she say she would be there but not show up until it was over? Yesterday, her excuse was that she forgot, and today it was that seeing people vomit makes her nauseous. Emilia throws up a lot after getting an NG tube. Am I the a-hole for wanting nothing to do with my kids and ex-wife after 2 years of false allegations? Original post, posted June 29, 2025. Last year, my kids, 9 female and 7 male, ran away late at night/early in the morning. When found by some city officials, they claimed I kicked them out of the house. I woke up that morning to the cops and CPS knocking on the door. I told my side of the story from what I knew, and they had my now ex-wife tell her side while keeping us separated. The cops claimed our stories didn't match and ended up arresting me. I bailed myself out that same day and went to live with my parents for a while. I was dealing with court, scared that I was going back to jail or prison and that I'd lose my job, which I had only been at for a year. A little over a month went by and I got a phone call to have a meeting with a CPS woman in charge of our case. My daughter ended up making more allegations against me that did not make any sense to the CPS people, and when they asked her questions, she was unable to give them answers. My son ended up breaking first and admitting the whole thing was made up, and that my daughter was the one who orchestrated everything. This reveal led to the charges being dropped and my daughter getting counseling and psychiatric help. For a while, I thought things were good. We were on our way to fixing things. I kept trying to get all of us into therapy, both individually and as a family. I was already in therapy due to this whole situation anyway. My ex kept dragging her feet and it never went anywhere. After some other situations, like being displaced due to a natural disaster and me trying to get things packed up in our old apartment, I got told by my ex that she wanted a divorce. So now I was having to rush and try to find a place to live, which I did luckily. I actually move in tomorrow. On the 14th of June, I got served an emergency protection order by the county sheriff's office. I was told it's because I allegedly hit my son and gave him a concussion while in the grocery store, where there are cameras. He had been taken to the emergency room by my ex on the 14th, but this event allegedly happened on the 10th. I had told my ex that due to me having to get this house to rent, along with utilities in my name, adding up to over $2,000, I wasn't going to be able to pay certain bills this month, but that I'd get them caught up as soon as I could to get everything paid off and even. I signed for the deposit on the 11th, and the kids had been with her while I did this paperwork, and there was no issue. That same morning, I had taken my kids to the park so they could play, and I recorded videos of them being silly and having fun. I was talking to my therapist this week and told her what was going on and how I felt about being around my ex or the children. It's 2 years in a row of false allegations. I want nothing to do with any of them now. I'll pay child support gladly. I had an agreement with my ex before this all happened of paying $1,000 a month, $500 per paycheck for child support. After all of this, am I the a-hole for not wanting to be around the children and my ex after everything gets settled and found out to be lies again? Edit. I posted this before I clocked in at work, so let me give some more details. My ex-wife and I were still together when the kids ran away last year. My side of the story during that was that I came home from work, talked with the kids and wife, gave the kids their melatonin gummies before sending them to bed, after which I took a shower before making myself something for dinner and cleaning up afterward. By this point, my ex was already asleep, and so were the kids. When CPS and the mental health professionals were talking to my daughter after everything got cleared, she was saying the voices she was hearing were telling her to do things. The mental health professionals said this sounded too rehearsed to them. It later got revealed that she had been watching videos on YouTube about kids pranking their parents, and she wanted to try it out herself. She had access to YouTube due to tablets that my mother-in-law had given the kids for Christmas back in 2023, which I disagreed with but was ignored. At the time, and to this day, I do not believe my ex had a hand in the running away situation. On to this year, my son went to the ER on the 14th because he had, and I quote from the paperwork I was given, dizziness, lightheaded feeling, and a nosebleed. I am not sure how he received a concussion. Nothing is finished with this situation yet, and nothing has been decided in terms of child support. We go back to court next month to revisit this after the investigation has finished. On the day I received the EPO, I talked to a state trooper and told him the kids' history, showed the videos of my kids playing, and showed receipts on my banking app from when we were at Walmart and at what time we were there. As of right now, I haven't heard anything else. I have already been interviewed by CPS and informed them of the same things I told the state trooper, because it is a different person on this case as my ex and kids live in a different county at the moment. This time, I firmly believe that my ex is behind this, due to my telling her some of the bills would have to wait because I'm having to pay approximately $2,500 to move, put down deposits, and pay first and last month's rent. I haven't seen my kids since I dropped them off with my grandparents on the afternoon of the 11th. I have not made a decision about staying away from my kids, but I do plan on talking to a lawyer in the next couple of days, and I'm looking into security for my house and a discreet body camera to wear, like many other users have suggested. I'll try to answer any other questions that I can, but I move tomorrow and I have some last-minute things to pack up and put in my car and move downstairs. Thank you for all of your insights, words, thoughts, and prayers. It means a whole lot to me, more than I can put into words. Now for the top comments before reading the updates. Not the a-hole. I am one of the loudest fight for your kids advocates ever. It takes disasters for me to think a parent should distance themselves. You, sir, have a disaster here. My big suspicion? How sure are you that your ex-wife isn't the one orchestrating all of this? It seems extremely unlikely that without her orchestrating this, both your kids would make up such nonsense one after another. I think you get the best lawyer you possibly can and go for broke. You either get 100% uninhibited custody, etc., or walking away may be your only option. If you lose, just wait for her to later expose herself. Then reconsider. I also suspect his soon-to-be ex is behind all this. I wouldn't give her a dime more than legally required. Not the a-hole. There's only so much a person can put up with. It's sad since it involves your kids, but you have to protect yourself emotionally, mentally, and financially. I need some things cleared up here. I saw your comment about your kids watching YouTube videos about running away before all of this happened, and you also say your wife was asleep. Even if your stories didn't match, it doesn't explain why you were arrested. Your child allegedly received a concussion and was taken to the ER. And if it happened in public, a grocery store, it should be verifiable. You point to cameras but doesn't confirm what they show? I haven't heard anything back yet about the cameras in the store, and I honestly have no idea what the cops were thinking with that. I work in law enforcement, but not as a cop, and this has honestly made me very distrustful of them. Now for the first update a month later. So I have an update, along with answering some questions better from my previous post. When I first posted this, I was not in a good headspace, and I realized that I wasn't very clear. To be honest, I'm still not in a good headspace, but it's a little bit better. For starters, these false allegations started last year when my kids were 9 and 7. When I said 2 years, I meant calendar years. When I said I spoke to the police about my side of the story last year, I meant what happened the night before the police and CPS showed up at the front door. I had gotten home, spent some time with the kids and my ex-then-wife, gave the kids their melatonin gummies. This was done on an as-needed basis, mainly 2 to 3 times a week at most. After that, I went and took a shower, made myself some dinner, then ate and cleaned up the kitchen before spending more time with my then-wife before we both went to bed. Due to a contraction happening when she was being given the epidural, she sleeps better propped up, so she slept on the couch while I and the kids slept upstairs. The next morning is when I woke up to the cops at the door with CPS. I was charged with child abandonment and arrested. It took over a month for the truth to come out about my kids making this up, due to the fact my daughter was saying I was having sex with her. The CPS agent conducting the investigation tried to ask more details, and that's when my daughter started crying and admitted she made it up because she couldn't give details. The only reason my daughter even knew what sex was is because my ex and I were in the bedroom and we both thought the other locked the door, and my daughter walked in on us. Moving to now, I don't know how my son got this supposed concussion. We had court again on Monday, the 21st, and when the judge asked my ex, she told him that, after talking with a state trooper, we have decided to not press criminal charges. I asked the judge if there was any evidence that they had about what they're claiming I did, and he told me that since no charges were filed, there's no evidence gathered to give to me. I want to thank everyone for their answers on my last post. Thinking about those feelings was making me sick to my stomach, and I just needed some perspectives from people who weren't emotionally involved. I thought about this since last month, and I made the decision to tell the judge I want the divorce process and this EPO to be over and done with, and that I just want to be left alone. I'm still questioning if this was the right decision or not. I'm just not sure what else I could do. I work 12-hour days, 5 to 6 days a week. I have no way to take care of the kids, so I can't take them in. Even then, am I supposed to get to the point where the court system says supervised visits aren't needed anymore and just start wearing a body camera around the kids and just be scared all the time? Looking over my shoulder constantly just to make sure that I'm not going to end up in jail again? We have a hearing set up for December to hopefully get everything finalized and finished. I keep thinking about the kids going trick-or-treating in 3 months, going back to school next month, how we won't be decorating Christmas trees together or making cookies for Santa, and I start crying all over again. I'm not sure what else I could have done though that wouldn't have made me a paranoid mess 24/7. This will be the last update until December or January, I guess. Thank you again to everyone saying I wasn't an a-hole for feeling this way. Have a good one, Reddit. Did your ex-wife explain why she wanted a divorce? Her words was that she just isn't in love with me anymore, and we've both become too different. She's religious. I'm not. Both have different views on things that we can't come to an agreement on. After last year, I wanted to get us into therapy and got some recommendations for marriage counselors, and gave her the list and said that I'd be fine with whoever she chose, so long as we worked on it. She never chose anyone and kept making excuses about why every time I asked. Second update a week later. So this is a really small update that I wasn't expecting to make. I had left a voicemail for the CPS agent assigned to the current situation with my son, asking for an update on everything because I haven't heard anything since June. She had to look in her case notes, but everything has been found to be unsubstantiated. I should be getting the official paperwork in a few days to a week in the mail. I'm not sure how to feel about this, honestly. I'm relieved that the truth has come out about these allegations, angry that this has happened to me twice now, happy that this is one step closer to being finished. I want to cry, but I couldn't tell you the specific emotion that's causing it. I'm taking some other Redditors' words to heart and putting in a request to my state police records department to get copies of any and all paperwork, evidence or lack thereof, anything I can get my hands on from them. I'm also getting copies of my son's medical records so I can see exactly what was found back in June. I know a lot of you don't believe this, and I don't care. I have nothing to gain from lying about this. I'll gladly post pictures of the paperwork from CPS when it comes in, with all private information redacted, of course, to protect myself and my children. I know some of the details don't make sense between the OG post and the update, but like I saw one person mention in a Reddit sub, which I love to read posts from and didn't expect my own to end up there. I'm just going into survival mode. I only just got a full-sized fridge 2 days ago. I only have an air mattress for a bed. I'm just tired. I want this over with. I want things to go back to January, when all I had to worry about was the fact I was recovering from a car wreck and couldn't even help take down the Christmas trees and get a new car. I think it's good you're getting those medical records because, if he really did have a concussion, it's possible that your ex tried to pin it on you to hide who really did it. And that's something that CPS should actually be looking at. Also, are we exploring the option that someone else may have assaulted the daughter? I think it's actually kind of common for abused children to accuse someone other than the actual abuser. It feels like OP should be pushing for someone to look into the kid's situation, even just getting them a therapist or someone to talk to who is a mandated reporter and can keep an eye out. Now for the last update a month later. So I didn't think I would be back with any sort of update until December, but here I am. For the ones who DM'd me, I also want to say thank you for reaching out. I may not have answered, but I really appreciated reading the messages. After my last update, I tried looking for something to do on my days off work. My first thought was the animal shelter nearby because it's not even a 5-minute drive from my house. Turns out it's closed on my days off. I looked around for neighboring counties, and those were even less helpful. A lot of them required I attend some sort of orientation, but there's no set day of the week for the orientations. I know it would be good for my mental health in the long run, but in the short term, taking a day off from work to attend the orientation, potentially making my paycheck smaller, isn't helpful. So I decided to try dating. I wasn't going into this looking for anything serious. I just wanted to try some casual dates to get out of the house and meet people. That's not what happened. I made a profile on a dating app and kind of just left it alone. One of the pictures I had put on there was of my cat. He's an orange cat presenting as a tuxedo cat. No brain cell whatsoever. I got a message, and this woman was talking about how cute my cat was and how he matched one of hers. We talked about our cats for a while, then things got flirty, and I asked her out on a date. I feel like it went well since she stuck around anyway. We found out that there are so many similarities between what we like and our senses of humor that my friends think I found a female version of myself, which I think is funny because when she meets them, that means they're screwed. After almost a month of us talking and going on the occasional date, I told her I had some things to tell her and then something to ask her. I was upfront with everything that happened last year and this year, showing her the paperwork that I had to show that I was innocent in all of this. After telling her all of this, I asked if she still wanted to stick around, or if she wanted to walk away and not get dragged into any drama that she could get put through just because of us having a relationship. She hugged me, cried for me, which got me to start crying, and told me that she was sorry I had to go through something like that. Once the two of us stopped trying to flood my house from crying, more myself than her, I asked her if she wanted to make things official between us, and she said yes. I was honestly so scared to tell her about what happened with my kids and ex. I was dead certain that once I told any prospective girlfriend this, they would walk away so that their own lives wouldn't get ruined. But she stayed, and I'm so incredibly grateful for that. We agreed to take it slow so that we don't rush into anything too quickly. I can't remember which of my posts it was on, and to be honest, there are too many comments on them all to be able to find them. But a Redditor said that, essentially, they hope I find someone and can actually be happy after all of this drama with my ex-wife and kids. I want to thank them for saying that, because between them speaking it into existence and my cat being, well, him, it seems to have worked. I'm not back up to 100% though. I'm still scared that something else will happen that will somehow mess my life up even more. I'm scared of the cops showing up at my house with new allegations, even though I haven't done anything. I'm scared of running into my ex or the kids in public just by going grocery shopping and somehow getting arrested over it. Every time I drive home and a sheriff, state police, or city police vehicle comes towards me or drives by the house, I can feel my anxiety spike. I have cameras up that record my front door, back door, and where I park my car outside my house, and cameras inside that cover my front door and my back door. I have other means of showing my location on my phone and where I've traveled, if I've traveled at all that day. I keep any receipts from shopping, or even grabbing something to eat while in town, just so I have timestamps of where I've been and when I was there. It's a mess, but I'm doing what I can. I'm looking forward to learning more about my girlfriend that my dingus of a cat helped me meet. I'm looking forward to being able to not live in fear of police. I'm looking forward to being able to live and not just not die right now. Again, I want to thank everyone for their thoughts, advice, comments, everything. I'm still gathering paperwork and what evidence I can about all of this, and sadly I still don't have answers about why this has been happening. I don't know how my son got this supposed concussion. I don't know if my ex is coaching them. I don't know if someone is in their lives because of my ex that is causing all of this. I don't know if I'll get those answers. But right now I'm going to keep searching and fighting for myself until I either can't find anything else or I get answers. I would demand a psych evaluation of the kids as part of the divorce. I'm afraid they are being coached by their mom, and if that is the case, it is abuse and you have to protect your kids. Have a professional do a full evaluation because they could be as much victims as you are. I'm leaning towards that. I'm just wanting to get to tax time so I can get my return and hire a lawyer. Last story. Am I the a-hole for snapping at my girlfriend's friend who wanted to take care of her for the night? I am 21 male, and my girlfriend is 27 female. We have been together for 3 years. She says she is a private person and does not want to publicize our relationship much, which I agreed to. But her friends, even the ones who know we are together, hit on her as if she were single, and it seems to me she enjoys the attention. Her guy friends act as if I am invisible. Just last weekend, one of her male friends told her he could take care of her tonight and stay by her side, right in front of me. And Sarah found nothing wrong with it. In fact, she was angry at me for snapping at her friend because apparently I was making a huge fuss over her so-called friend's concern for her and could not act mature even when she was sick. She had a headache and mild fever, not some life-threatening illness that required someone to nurse her the entire night in her room. I could have taken care of her just as well, yet she acted like I overreacted. I am not sure if I was wrong in refusing her friend's offer to stay one-on-one with her for the whole night, but she definitely believed I was overreacting since I am young. After this incident, I told Sarah that either she acknowledges me properly without any air of ambiguity, or I will leave. She told me I was being immature for expecting her to yell about our relationship from the rooftops, and said I was breaching her privacy. So am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. The baseline minimum in a relationship should be your girlfriend acknowledging you exist. You're not immature for wanting that. Yeah, and I was not wrong in not allowing her friend to stay with her one-on-one, right? Please say it was nothing wrong and I was not inconsiderate and insensitive in doing so, because she made me feel like crap for it, and I need external validation. She's playing with you like you are a toy. She likely makes fun of you with her friends, which is why none of them respect you. Respect yourself and dump her.